Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph. It is YSGOAT news.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
Deliver
absolutely.
You the news. We are not we don't have like a license.
No.
We're
We're running under the radar.
We're running under the radar. It's underground news. The news they don't want you to know, man.
Right.
This is right propaganda.
Exactly. I'm just gonna do my what is Stay Hard is the
yeah.
What was that movie? Pump up the volume. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna play some rock music and just talk about you ditto heads.
Yeah. No, we're gonna
hell, Rush, rotten hell.
we actually have a decent amount of stuff. Not a ton of different topics, but there's a lot to them. We are going to talk a little bit about some new Biden appointments. And
before you get to that, just make sure we are recording this on Wednesday, March 24th. It is 11:03 p.m. Yes. So as we talk about this, we will end this probably, well, most likely.
Yeah.
After midnight, it will be March 25th.
Yeah.
Almost. Joseph, I will get the art out. Joseph will do whatever he does with his editing magic.
Yep.
He just hits the button. No, it's more than that. It's much more than that. And we'll get it to you. So if you're up at probably 2 a.m.
Oh yeah.
You're getting a fresh tray a fresh platter of news.
It is. It's like the old days when they used to throw a stack of newspapers up against a building wall, early in the morning, just like that.
Like that. We're dressed. The funny thing is, you don't see it because we don't really put out the video. But we're dressed like newsies.
Yep.
The classic movie starring the guy who played Batman, Christian Bale.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And also the guy who played Weevil in Veronica Mars. He was in Newsies. Yeah.
I remember that. And the thing is, they got Christian Bale in Newsies also sounded like Batman in that too.
Yeah.
You want the news? I'm a newsie.
Well, yes, I was going to say that if you were able to see a video of us, you would mistake it for a rerun of Newsies or something. But but you won't see the video. It'll just be on
Theater of the Mind. Theater of the Mind. That's what we have here.
We do have.
So what are we talking about, Joseph?
We have the Biden. We're going to talk a little bit about Biden's cabinet, just briefly. Then we're going to talk about the big story is the gun violence that never. I mean, it's always the big story, but over the last week we've had two big high-profile gun violence incidents, and we're going to kind of talk about the rise in anti-Asian rhetoric that's been building over the last. I'm going to ballpark it 4 years, and then.
Yeah, I wonder where it came from. I wonder where.
And then we'll talk a little bit about gun control further with Ted Cruz and Joe Kennedy and
John Kennedy.
I'm sorry, Joe. Yeah, right.
Not to be confused with any late presidents.
John Kennedy. And then we'll shift gears a little bit. We'll talk about Meghan McCain, which is always a delightful conversation.
Yep, a up and comer who earned her way.
Yep. Yeah. Paid her dues. And then we'll finish by talking about the minimum wage. And you had tweeted out or texted me initially interesting thing on the minimum wage, and we've talked about that quite a bit. That'll be a good thing to end up on. So that's what we got.
All right, cool. So the Biden administration's been getting all their people in, and there's been some. He said right from the start that he wanted to make sure his cabinet was the most diverse.
Yes.
Of course, the people online or whatever will say it's just a show or whatever, and okay, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
It means a lot, and I would imagine that there are people out there who probably like getting represented. Now I know people will say, well, Trump had some diversity in his cabinet, or
Sure.
George W. Bush had some diversity, but most people know that the people that usually get put in Republican administration, stuff like that, the Republicans do not represent you. The people that they usually get, if it's an African American, an Asian person, or that, they don't really represent you. Or and I don't, as a Jewish person, I don't feel good if they put in a Jewish guy in there. I don't feel like I'm being represented.
You didn't see Jared Kushner as a victory or anything?
No, I did not see I did not see Ivanka Trump, who is Jewish.
Yeah.
I did not feel better about that. Especially when all those Nazis were at Charlottesville.
Yes.
And we're saying Jews not replace us. I was like, and Trump couldn't call him out on it. I don't know. Didn't give me a good feeling.
You're right. When Trump is, I'll use Trump because it's an easy example, but when they appoint diverse persons, and it's true that they appoint diverse persons, but they're usually iconoclasts in the sense that they attack what they're supposed to represent. You know what I mean?
Put in there to shut people up, and then you can't say that. What are you, racist? You know what I mean?
Ben Carson is who I was thinking of. Okay, so we have a black man is in the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and the first thing he says is we should get rid of all these things that were put into place to begin leveling the playing field. Or you would put say Betsy DeVos. Well, this is a woman, but she one of the first things she does is she removes Title IX protections and makes it so that men accused of rape are given an extra set of protections.
That's bizarre, right?
So
I don't know if this woman would be considered an ally.
Right, but it's weird. They specifically attack the thing that their representation is supposed to protect.
What's it? Or Mitch McConnell's wife, who just uses her position to financially benefit her family.
But it is crazy. They're all iconoclastic in some way, but Biden's diversity is a different thing. It seems, in my perspective. And the two we had talked about right before we started coming on to record was I'm going to butcher this name, Deb Haaland, who was put in as Secretary of the Interior and the first Native American to get the cabinet level position, and to Department of Interior is a big deal too, and it's a big deal to a lot of Native persons because a lot of their land is in DOI land. And then today we had Rachel Levine, who was confirmed by the Senate to be the Assistant Secretary of Health, and is a trans woman.
I mean, that's a big fucking deal, especially when you have the other party demonizing trans people all the fucking time.
It's a huge deal.
Cynical people will say whatever, or I don't know, they'll just be cynical.
Well, now it's a huge deal because now, if you have a bunch of evil ghouls talking about saying well, transgendered persons can't use the bathrooms or whatever, now they have to say it now there's a person there in the government that can show up at these committees or meetings or hearings or whatever and say I'm sorry, are you talking about me? Are you saying that I cannot use the bathroom?
The funny thing about that is the Republicans, from and this is what I've been hearing in my chat rooms that I go in, the AWOL chat rooms.
You got to stay out of 4chan.
No, I don't go there. I'm talking about the AWOL chat rooms from 1993.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
The bathroom stuff, the Republicans kind of moved on from that because they failed and it just looked really stupid.
Yeah.
So the thing that they're really heavily focusing on now, old right-wing media, a lot of Republicans, is they are attacking. They found a new method to go after trans people.
Sports, right?
Sports.
Yeah.
Because they could say, no, we're not against trans people. We're not against them. We just don't think it's fair that this trans woman's gonna, that compete in this sport, or this trans man, this trans man clearly can compete in this sport, or this trans woman can't compete. It's complete bullshit. They're trying to find a way to just remove people that they don't like, or also Republicans only can win by marginalizing people.
Yeah,
that's literally all they offer. I'm sorry. I mean, unless you're a billionaire or uber rich, oil guy or whatever it is, you rely on keeping the minimum wage low forever.
Yep.
We'll talk about that later. That you don't really have a reason to vote Republican.
No.
But if they get you with the abortion thing, which is like their biggest one,
yep, or
if they get you with just straight up bigotry or anything, the new marginalization is trans people.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not new. It's been going on for years now.
It's the focus now.
It's the focus now because it's easy. It's easy for them to do, and the sport thing can be complicated because you can get some people who try to make some what they think are valid reasons why this, and this. It's complete bullshit. It's complete horse shit. I saw a clip of Joe Rogan talking about puberty blockers, and like, it's like another way to attack trans people or trans kids. More, I would say, attack trans kids. There are kids out there who might not feel like they are what society determines them to be. And I feel bad for any parent. I mean, for any kid who has a parent that listens to Joe fucking Rogan. I feel really bad for them.
Yeah.
But the way Joe Rogan, see, the thing that's fucked up about him is he tries to do it in a concern trolling kind of way.
It's insidious. It's
like, I think it's really messed up. The puberty blockers, and it could really abuse the child.
It's definitely like a gaslighting, which is like a real hateful, passive aggressive, just nasty way of manipulating other people's minds and emotions and stuff.
He did that during the election too with Biden. Like he said, I can't vote for Biden because, I just think his brain is mush and I don't think he's able to. I think he's too old. And it's like he said that all while like non-ironically supporting Trump, who has no brain.
Right.
And is not healthy and is also old.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's, I don't know. I'm real sick of that, but I am super heartened by Biden's presidency in general. I know it's super early and it's not all great. But these are really good, important things. Like whoever would have thought that Joe Biden would these would be things that he prioritized and did and kept through with. He really has seemed to walk the walk with this. Like half his appointees, I think, are women, and he has gone out of his way to nominate persons of color. And it seems
I know
good.
People will say like, "Oh, what's the big deal?" Especially I think like what is it? The one who's usually like in charge of a war. What do they call them?
The Secretary of Defense or National.
Yeah, something like that. Like it's a black man. I guess
yeah.
And it's like, big deal. But I think.
Well, I mean, what can you like? This
shows
is how
that the United States is very diverse in its work performing work.
Right. Yeah. And I know that
it's not a bad thing. You think no.
Well, and we're talking too, like in a second, we're going to be talking about anti-Asian rhetoric. And Tammy Duckworth came out today and said that she wants more Asian Americans or Asian Pacific Islanders.
She basically realized that she can be Joe Manchin too.
Yeah.
Like, why does Joe Manchin get to be the only Joe Manchin?
Everyone should want to be.
Everyone
can be the 50th senator. Anyone.
Yeah, like any of the Democrats should be able to pull that bullshit that he does, but do it in like a good way and a meaningful way. She's doing it in a way that like is good for actually people, right?
Honestly, more moderate or liberal Republicans could do it too. They could join in.
Yeah, but they won't.
No, but if they wanted to, like if Murkowski wants a special thing, like a
right. But I'm just saying, like the way the Republicans mostly have been.
Sure. I agree.
It's almost like you just need the Democrats and Kamala Harris, and then you'll get it through, unless it needs like a super majority or something, 60 vote. But Yeah, if you don't need a 60 vote thing, any Democrat can pull a Joe Manchin, and I would guarantee you they're doing it more for better reasons than Joe Manchin's doing it. So I just want to play a video real quick.
Yeah.
Another important thing, I posted this. I said the conversation was so much dumber a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a clip from a year ago. It's Donald Trump talking to Bill Hemmer.
Yeah.
Today for the citizens of our country.
During our town hall today, you threw out a date where you think America can be working again. And that's Easter Sunday. That was 19 days. How did you come up with that day?
Well, it's 19 days, but add another 7 because we've been doing this now for 7. So that's from the time we heard about it.
7 and 9.
From the time we
Mike, this used to be the president. This is this was the president.
Yeah.
It's just like the biggest conning, lying piece of shit. The way he talks.
It's sort of in that timeline that I'm thinking about.
It's just remarkable that anyone gave him the time of day on this shit,
Allowed essentially to have much of a congregation there. And most of them I watched on Sunday online.
Yeah, sure he was.
Terrific, by the way, but online is never going to be like being there. So I think Easter Sunday, and you'll have packed churches all over our country. I think it would be a beautiful time. And it's just about the timeline that I think is right. It gives us more chance to work on what we're doing. And I'm not sure that's going to be the day, but I would love to aim it right at Easter.
You remember that?
That was.
And then after that happened, then the whole open up protest started with the AstroTurf protest.
It's remarkable. That was 2 weeks into the. When was that?
It wasn't even the country never even 100% locked down ever.
Yeah,
it never did. There's states that never really locked down.
Yeah,
Texas kind of shut down. It did. The comic store I go to was shut down. He couldn't open.
Sure.
It took him. It wasn't until a certain time that he was actually able to open up, and it was a non-essential stores. GameStop was trying really hard to prove that they were essential. Gotta get those Funko Pops, dude. You gotta get that. You gotta get that used copy for $3 less than retail. But Texas, Abbott, New York, the way they opened up things was a month apart. That way, when you open it up 25% in 1 month, one, you slow down things. And 2, if you have to close down again, you don't have to it's not as hard because you only opened up 25%. Texas, Abbott decided, I'm going to open up everything week after week after week. And places were we're just going to open up 100 because no one's really monitoring us. So
right.
But yeah, that nonsense. I mean, just listening to him. And I know people will say Orange Man dead or whatever, and it's It was a piece of shit.
He was terrible. He was so bad at everything.
This fucking guy was talking like this and everything, knowing how deadly. We know he knew how deadly.
Yeah, the Woodward interview. Yeah.
And now we're now it's still a month late after the Woodward stuff, or more than a month after the Woodward stuff, where he basically told him, it's so fucking horrible. People are going to die. And he told his followers and his voters to go out and do your thing. It's gee, I wonder why you lost, Trump.
Right.
Maybe if you kept some of your voters alive, you might have.
Right. Yeah. If you wanted to find those votes in Georgia, and check the morgue. That's that's where they are.
I mean, that is a morbid joke, but it is true.
Maybe the math did favor you in Georgia. It's just that a lot of those people dropped dead over the last year. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't make it to election day.
Right.
I mean, this. This is the thing I always say to people who try to pull the bullshit that Democrats and Republicans are the same. And when Republicans run Congress and House, well, first of all, when Republicans run anything, the only thing they care about doing is tax cuts and marginalizing people.
Yeah, privatization.
Then they start doing other dumb shit flag burning bills, real stupid dumb shit that means absolutely nothing. And the conversation is just so stupid. The conversation's still stupid. We talk about how they talk about Cat in the Hat, generating shit, cancel culture shit, This is nonsense. But they're not in power. They're not determining the agenda.
Right.
People like, do you think like, you know, we're gonna talk about minimum wage later, but like yes, we're upset that the vote for minimum wage failed.
Of course.
But the fact that you even had a vote to begin with is a start. Like that would not happen.
Yeah, and that was thrown in there with like 9 other really progressive policies, and 9 out of 10 went through. And I'm that doesn't mean I'm happy that 10th one didn't make it.
We're not saying it's perfect, but the fact is that you could. I say this every time. I've said this on this podcast multiple times to all those people. When Democrats are in power, depending on which one it is and everything, the door is open. It may not be wide as you want it to be,
right?
But it's open. When a Republican's president, it is slammed the fuck shut
and locked.
Locked. You have no say at all, and the people who vote for him are fine with that. They want a king. They'd be happy if Trump was a god king.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Years. I don't know how that would happen though, because he's old, fat.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well,
again, you look at what's his face from Dune, and I'm sure he ruled for years.
Yeah.
What was his name? Baron
Harkonnen.
Yeah, Harkonnen.
Yeah.
Floating,
big
oil.
tub of goo. Yeah.
Nice guy.
Yes, that was rough. All right. Well, I guess this is kind of like a good shift to a similar topic, which is kind of grim. We had 2 big significant gun violence episodes over the last week. One was in the Atlanta area. Some sort of Christian fundamentalist whack job killed. What was it?
Like 3 locations.
3 locations, yeah.
And killed 8 Asian women, right? It was all. Was it all women?
I think they're focusing on the women. It was primarily Asian women, but I want to say it was like 6 Asian women and 2 other people, like men or
were they Asian?
I don't know.
To say that this was not a specific hate crime is a lie. I know, like he claimed that like he's some like incel piece of shit, and and then did you see that fucking officer? I don't know if we. Oh
yeah, he was. This is a guy who on his Facebook page was posting anti-Asian memes. You know, basically
selling T-shirts that said like about COVID. First of all, he was like a COVID denier, of course.
Yep.
But then attacking Asians and saying it was made in China.
Yeah.
COVID. Yeah. And he also, do you know the guy's name?
No. I'll look it up real quick. He was Georgia. Well, anyway,
he used to work for Blackwater.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I do remember that.
So that says it all right there. What did he say? He was like trying to like basically downplay the murders and just said that he was like almost felt like he was more concerned about the murderer. He said like, oh, he had a bad day.
Yeah, it was Captain Jay Baker. And he said that the kid had a bad day and this is what he did. And it was
it's like he just totally dehumanized the people that were killed. Like they don't even exist.
Well, Biden went in there and he talked with leaders in the Asian community, and the news reporting I saw was kind of interesting in that they were like, look, a hate crime, there's like 2 ways of looking at it. There's the way we all understand it, and this was a hate crime the way any human would understand it to be. He targeted specifically Asian women, right? But like the way the law is written is really jacked up. They should probably focus on maybe rewriting that law or something, because when he started saying that he was killing people because he was ashamed of spanking it or something, that was basically his defense, that he wasn't saying like, I went to go kill these Asian women. He was saying, I went to go kill these people who work at massage parlors. They happen to be Asian, but it was anybody who was at the massage parlor I was going to kill. And that's not necessarily a hate crime, because that wasn't a protected category. Like being Asian, like having Asian heritage, that's a protected category, but working at a massage parlor isn't. And there is some nuance there legally. I I know that's not like a
Well,
popular...
regardless, he still murdered people. So
Oh yeah, I mean, like,
I would imagine that.
Yeah,
that, he's regardless if it's a hate crime or not. Hopefully, he will go to jail for life.
Yeah, murder. Okay. He murdered people. That's just as significant. I think a hate crime would have been more important, like if he had like beat someone up, because then you get like multipliers to your sentence if it's a hate crime as opposed to just a simple assault.
Right. I remember like watching like a South Park episode, and let me tell you, I fucking like, they're horrible. The people who watch South Park like don't understand they're being fed a right-wing bullshit a lot.
I did that. The vaccine episode was pretty funny. I did watch that recently.
Yeah, I saw it, but
I agree with your premise though. They've
gotten a little better over the years, but there was like a period of time where that show was like incredibly right-wing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Especially during the George Bush years, there was like some really bad episode. I was like, oh my God. And one of the episodes was about like hate crimes, like Token, which is like, he gets like hurt or whatever, and then like the father's black and he's a Republican or something, and he goes, wow, a crime isn't all crimes hate crimes? I'm like, oh, God, that's like something like Republicans would say, you know?
Right.
It's like that's such a simplified, dumb way to put it. Like, well, yeah, you're right, all crimes, I guess, or all attacks on people are hate crimes. It's like,
yeah, this is anybody, a reasonable thinking person knows that this is a hate crime, that he targeted Asian women. He didn't go pick up, like white prostitutes, or he didn't get escorts or anything. He went to...
He wasn't like, oh, let's get the Vice Squad on him. And like, this was like specifically targeting a certain ethnicity.
Right.
Like,
and women. I'm not speaking from knowing this in particular, but I've read enough and heard enough smart people on TV talk about it and say like there is an Asian female stereotype that paints them as submissive, and white men kind of fetishize that, and that's a whole dynamic.
White dudes are like married to Asian people.
Yeah,
I mean, about this, and they said that like, does it like? It's almost like they purposely go like it is part of that.
Yeah.
Like, they want that anime fantasy,
right?
And they think that these women are more submissive, or all this other shit. It's like it doesn't make you not racist. All right, so I wanted to talk about this and get this since this is like a little bit of a swerve, but we'll get back to it. So like last week or 2 weeks ago, there was like the Grammys, and like Bill Burr was there.
Yeah.
And he gave some monologue, and it was like lame. I don't know. I saw it online, and
I did too.
I wasn't offended. It wasn't even anything funny. And all these people were like defending him, and they were like, "Yeah, take that, Bill Burr, yeah." And I'm like, well, first of all, whatever he said wasn't even like funny. It was just like, like yeah, we get it. You're edgy. Like, I can't stand how specific people put their personality inside of these comedians that crafted a persona that they created over the years. Like Bill Burr is a fucking actor. He's a comedian, but he's an actor too. He's been in things. You know, he's from Star Wars.
Yep.
Basically plays his character persona in the episode of Mandalorian. We know him from Breaking Bad and all that stuff. And listen, I find his acts like it's okay. Some of his jokes are like okay. I find his voice grating at times.
Yeah.
I think he's like okay. I think he's like kind of overrated. But I saw all these like people like posting pictures of him, like where they put his face and it's like a little like snarky smile. Like, take that. And it's like as if like I said, they think whatever persona he is, like that is their outlet as a form of rebellion. Again, like cancel culture or whatever. And I find it really funny. Or they'll post pictures and say, well, Bill Burr can't be racist. His wife's black. And it's like,
right.
Well, you know, his content can still be racist.
Yeah.
It's not, his wife's not a cover for that.
No.
You can't say that his content, he doesn't have like racist jokes or has said stupid things in the past. Just because he has an African-American wife does not make it okay.
Right. It's you don't get a pass or a
he's not in like a special club now where it's like, you know, like I mean that's one thing right off the bat. I always hate when they do that shit. They're like, oh look, this person has this, and it's like, oh, it can't be racist. And I'm
Right.
not saying he's racist. I don't even care. I'm not even talking about Bill Burr. I'm more talking about like how people are so annoying when it comes to certain comedians, like Dave Chappelle, Joe Rogan, all them. They like use their persona that these guys have created over the years as a part of their act as like a part of their personality.
Yeah.
Like they think that like whatever the things that these comedians say that may be like edgy or counterculture in any way or goes against the SJWs or whatever it is, and cherry pick whatever they want, and they like make that their personality.
Right.
Yeah. It's really annoying.
It is. And there's kind of like, I don't want to say there's an element to that. I guess like what kind of prompted that was like how like some alt-right dudes will like fetishize Asian women or whatever.
And I just want to make sure I am not saying that Bill Burr's alt-right. So
no. I wasn't saying that, but I was like trying to like trace the conversation back. It is weird, like how people get, I don't know, they do adopt these kind of like tropes in their life or whatever. I don't know. It's interesting because like you have these two dynamics at the same time. You have this increase in anti-Asian rhetoric, and then you have that horrible gun violence, and then you had a follow-up piece of gun violence out in Colorado, and it seems to happen a lot in Colorado.
They tend to like created the modern day that with Columbine. Okay, so just to be clear, it's two things.
Yeah.
A couple of days before the guy shot up, the Asian women, basically, for claims of sex or whatever it is, incel weirdo. Trump put out like what he is like his tweet or something, and it was about like, the vaccine and everything. But in his thing, he was trying to take credit for the vaccine, of course.
Right.
Trying to claim that it's all because of his deregulations that led to the vaccine, which is complete bullshit, I bet. That he called it the China virus.
Yeah.
Kung flu or whatever, and that's what they all call it. And the right wing constantly pushes that, and they say that. And then you get like a day or two later, you get this guy who goes and murders, predominantly Asian women. And you don't tell me that this fucking guy doesn't like listen to like these piece of shits on like YouTube and stuff all the time. Come on.
You can't help it. I mean, like if you're that age, the kid was like 21 or something. I mean, they live online. He'd be swimming that water. I mean, he just would,
Yeah.
And I don't know much about his church. I know his church kind of like put out a bunch of statements afterwards saying we condemn this and X, Y, and Z. Maybe his church is real progressive and liberal. Kind of doubt it.
I seriously doubt that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I don't know any of
the far opposite.
Right. My guess would be that it is kind of the opposite, and it wouldn't stun me if they said, "Oh yeah, you know what? In a sermon the other week they did call it the China virus or whatever." So,
well, I wouldn't even know if it goes as far as this being using bad like stupid wording like that, but I'm sure just their stance on things are very draconian.
So
the other thing that happened leading in Colorado, before we get to that, is that a couple of days ago, I guess in Boulder, or I don't know if it's the state of Colorado or it's the city or whatever, people voted to basically have kind of like an assault weapons ban.
Yeah.
People voted on it. And a judge, probably in the pockets of the NRA, basically overthrew that and said, no, you cannot block the sales of these type of guns and all that. And then what happened within like a day?
Yeah.
A guy purchased a gun, literally got it. I think the guy in Georgia too acquired the gun. I don't think he just had it.
Right.
He was able to go get it. That's why people were saying like it shouldn't be harder to vote. Like it shouldn't be harder to get to vote over getting a gun. Like
right.
It should be the other way around.
The smartest thing I read all day today, and I've read it before, it wasn't unique to this one guy, but the smartest thing I read today is this guy said, look, we have to push for a complete gun ban and the confiscation of all guns, because if you push for a background check, then the compromise will be somewhere between no gun control and a background check, and that's nothing. if you push for total ban of guns, then they kind of have to meet you in the middle, which will include things like background checks and
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. You got to just come out, it's like the $15 minimum wage. You can't come in and say 11. No, it's got to be 15.
Right.
And that's and
well, with that logic, even I would say like that's when you push for a $20 minimum wage.
Yeah, or 25.
knowing that you probably won't get it, but they'll like if you say 15 and the other person says no, it's going to be 7. The best you're going to get in a compromise is like 10.
It's like negotiations. And
yeah.
Stuff. It's like you always want to make sure you're highballing. Obviously you get nervous. You want to be like, I don't want to say too much because you sound crazy.
Right.
But you don't want to come in the low ball either. So,
there's been the gun control nuts have not budged a single fucking inch.
No, they won't. They won't. They're liars. Like there's these people like I bump into online and stuff. Like I post stuff on my Instagram. I have this like artwork. It just says like thoughts and prayers. It's like Lauren Boebert put one out. I was like, fuck you, you rancid piece of shit. And I got all kinds of crazy comments. And one guy just turned into like all the gun shootings are fake. And I was like, okay, you're blocked. Like that's you're done. Like you gave away the game too early. You said that it was all crisis actors. You're done. Yeah, that's insane. Like that's like total nonsense.
Well, these are irrational, irrational people uninterested in compromise at all.
Or
there's no use talking to them.
They take the Second Amendment and totally blow it out of the water and make it like, look, it's a well-regulated militia. There's no, isn't it true in the Second Amendment? There's no mentioning that you can own a firearm.
Yeah, it's like, it's weird. There's a lot of people talk about the Second Amendment in terms of grammar, and if I knew it off the top of my head, I'd say it. But like the way it's worded and the way the words are put together, basically says like. The government can't interfere with the functioning of a well-regulated militia, and it even says right in the fucking amendment, well-regulated. Like there would be regulations.
That's literally what that means. So, in theory, the government could come in with all kinds of regulations. Like this one guy, he hit me up, I think, and he started talking to me, and he seemed a little bit reasonable and stuff, And I said, because I basically put "fuck your guns." I made it like I went in and basically said, "No, you shouldn't have a gun."
Yeah.
And he got, of course, not defensive. He was somewhat polite. But I said, are you one of these people like you think everyone should have an AR-15? He's like, he told me, he's like, I ain't gonna lie to you, I like my AR-15.
Yeah.
But if I had to lose it, it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Right. Yeah, that seems reasonable. That
is reasonable. That's a reasonable person right there. Like, I'm sorry. Like, no one should have an AR-15. Why do you need it? What's it for? And the thing is, I'm sorry. Like, I asked him. I'm like, well, what do you do with your guns? He's like, oh, I hunt. I'm like, well, then go get a license. He's like, I have one. I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah. So that's.
I mean, like, then it should be like, and I think in Australia, it's like, yeah, there's no guns, but it's like you can go hunting. I think you have to like go to a place and it's like very regulated, but
yeah, well, the thing that pisses me off is that they'll say that the founders intended it. They just want it both ways.
Back when guns, like you had to like stuff your musket.
Yeah,
like,
it took 2 minutes.
One bullet out. Like
it took 2 minutes to fire one shot.
They made a video. There was like a commercial where a crazy guy comes into an office and starts shooting people with a musket. And he shoots one, then he has to sit there and clean it and everything. And like, yeah, this is how like this is the Second Amendment right here. Like, and then someone like tackles him. I mean, it's like that's like we talk like. I remember this goes back to Colorado with the movie theater.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When they were doing Batman.
Yeah. The Dark Knight Rises. I don't know which was more tragic though, the actual movie or no, That's not funny. That's not funny.
But that was Colorado's had a spate of these.
I remember talking to these guys back when I was living in Chico when it happened, and these two guys I was going to lunch with, they were both they were gun nuts. I mean, they weren't like insane, but they own a lot of guns.
Right.
They think that like this is protecting me, all this bullshit. It's like, just stop lying. You just like them because you think they look cool. And they're your toy. They're your toy that actually does something. They're the ultimate Han Solo blaster from when you were a child.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It is literally what they are. Like, when I grew up, there was this toy line called Enertech, and it was a water gun line that literally just looked like weapons. Like, they looked like exact replicas of machine guns. And I bet you a lot of people my age who grew up with those toys, ingrained in their brain, those toys were so evil. I wanted Enertech so bad when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted the Uzi. My God, you did a time warp and went back in time and looked at the toy section back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
You saw the water gun section, you would think you were in a gun store. Like, it was insane.
When I was in high school, I had like an airsoft or something. It was basically like it shot little foam pellets, and like
But it looked like a rifle, right?
It looked like a 9mm handgun. I mean, it straight up 100% did. I mean, it was indistinguishable from. There was no little orange tip on the muzzle or anything like that. Yep. It was like mostly metal with a little hard plastic. It's amazing. You're 100% right, and you can't appreciate it unless you've seen it.
But you don't think that like ingrained in their brains? Of course it did. They slipped it in your milk.
Yeah.
And now you're obsessed with these things, and you think they're your toy. So I remember talking to these guys about this, and I said, okay, so the movie theater where it happened, that guy, he came into the theater when the movie was on.
Yep.
He threw smoke bombs.
Yeah. Jeez.
So right off the bat, no, you weren't going to get a hero. If someone else got up with a gun, they probably would have shot an innocent bystander over
probably
traitor. And then the guy was able to mow down the entire theater because he was using a weapon that sprays bullets out like they're nothing.
Yeah.
And I said to him, okay, so you're in the theater. And I said, you're sitting there and you're eating your popcorn and you're whatever, and your fingers all greasy, and you're like, oh shit, I'm being attacked. Let me get my fat hand to the side of my leg in the seat, but I'm too fat to fit in there. Oh, I'm slipping. Hold on, let me get my gun. Oh. Like, get the fuck out of here. You're not Chuck Norris. You're dead. There's no good guy in that situation.
No, there's no good guy with a gun. I mean, there's in Texas not that long ago, someone rolled up to an army base and killed like 15 people. Yeah,
there was like a incident years ago where at a church in Texas, I think, where a good guy with a gun was able to restrain a guy.
Sure.
But the guy still went in and killed like 10 people.
Yeah.
So who cares? Like, I mean, a good guy, yeah, bravo, you did good, sir. Good on you, good guy. But that doesn't stop the fact that that guy was still able to kill 10 people.
Well, we do have, and speaking of the people on the that are kind of
before you get to that, let's just talk about the shooting. So the actual shooting was committed, and where a guy killed 10 people in a supermarket, right?
Yeah,
he wasn't even like wearing a shirt or something, right?
He, from what I understand, he took his shirt off after the incident. I don't know why. Yeah. It seems like this guy has like some mental health problems. Is my guess.
Unfortunately, a lot of these people do. Now I know the Republicans, they always like to flex and push it towards the mental health, but they just want to use that as a cover. They never want to do anything about it.
Yeah. No, you'll see.
Hey, we can do both. We can make it harder for people to get guns.
Yeah.
And we could also improve our healthcare system. You want to do that? No, we're not interested in doing that.
It is galling. You see people come out and after a shooting and they'll be like, well, you know what we should really be talking about is this Grand Theft Auto, the video game.
Yeah, I remember that when Trump, there was a shooting during like 2 years ago or something where Trump started blaming video games, and I started cracking up because it was like all the MAGA gamer nuts who were like sucked into Trump by Gamergate didn't know how to react.
That's right.
He's a Republican. That's what he's doing. That's what the Republicans do. They always blame video games.
But like, I don't know. It's tough, and the playbook's the same. Well, now's not the time to talk about it. You're politicizing the shooting, and these people across the board. And in every single instance are unreasonable, they're duplicitous, they're dishonest, and they're not willing to bend.
They're literally put in place to be that. They are not like, they're not acting like this because of like the deep thought and they put a lot of thought. No, they are literally created by the Heritage Foundation, They are literally put in there by the gun lobby. They are literally like these people, like, they pretty much have like no agency. Like, they are literally just ideologues that are in place. They probably will benefit either later, or they are benefiting in some way. There's like an offshore account somewhere.
No, you're right. They get a memo in the morning, like literally an email that says, this is what you say, and then they all go out and say it. Yeah.
So the funny thing was, the right didn't know how to handle this one, though. Because the guy wasn't white. It was found out he was like a Muslim, or I don't know what he is actually.
I think he came from Syria. He was Arabic, and
you can't assume everyone from there is Muslim.
Right.
He could be Christian. He could be Jewish.
I don't know if he was Muslim, but he was Arabic. I think he was from Syria.
He wasn't a class textbook lone wolf white guy.
Right.
So the right wing has to like, well, what do we do here? I mean, how do we dance this? Like, now they're calling him a terrorist. Now it's okay to call him a terrorist because he's brown. Like, we can't call him a terrorist when they're white.
No.
They're a lone wolf crazy guy who
having a bad day.
Just having a bad day. But this guy, what do we do about this? But it's like, okay, hey, you know what? I think it's bad that I don't think anyone should be allowed to do this, regardless of race and gender. What do you want to do about it?
Well, have you checked his room for an Xbox? Have you checked it?
Yeah. What did he play Grand Theft Auto last?
Yes.
Did he have the Quran?
Did he play a game where you shoot hookers with a nunchuck gun?
Did the mullah or something from the country that he never lived in?
It puts him in a bind for sure. I tweeted that. I said they found their eyes like a dog. Like when they found out he was brown, they're like, whoa, wow, I all of a sudden care about this. Well, I think honestly, I could be wrong on this. I think we're probably going to see some action on this. I know we were talking beforehand. The Ninth Circuit Court today ruled, unrelated to the shootings, that people do not have a right to carry in public.
Open carry, like with the moron walking around with the AR-15 in the back on his back.
I've never understood why. Like, and I'm not advocating for this at all. But like, if let's say there is a good guy with a gun, okay, good guy with a gun. That's a thing. Let's just say it's a real thing, and you're there at the local Wawa or Buc-ee's or Janky Mart or whatever.
And they could be shopping at Target. Actually, they can't. Target literally had these guys say, you cannot open carry. We don't care. Well, just like with the mask, just because it's a open carry, these people cannot just go into any store they want when open carry. The store has every right to say, it literally says no exposed guns in here.
So let's say you're in Florida and you're at a Florida Mart, okay? And in Florida, you can open carry and you can shoot people if you feel threatened or whatever. That's the thing. I'm not even kidding. Right. So let's say you're in Florida Mart and you're
they have what's it called? Standing ground.
Yeah.
That's how that guy was able to get away with killing Trayvon Martin.
Yeah. And so let's say a guy with an assault rifle comes in and he's open carrying too, but now all of a sudden the first guy feels threatened and pops him and kills him in Florida Mart. What happens? Like, how does that work? Like, I would feel threatened if I saw someone walk in with an assault rifle and I was open carrying too. I mean, like, it just seems like, how is this even a conversation?
It's a recipe for disaster.
It's like Dardas or whatever. It's
almost like these people don't realize it's like, no, you're not making the country freer. You're actually doing the opposite. And some of the people who, and that was the thing when I talked to one of these guys on there who was trying to point out, like, you shouldn't make like gun laws because like people like minorities stuff, like you brought like the Black Panthers, like Black Panthers. I'm like, this is like 50 years ago. This is different. I mean, yes, is there a Black Panther Party still? Yeah, there is, but like what he's referencing, I'm like, dude, that's 50 years ago. Yeah. And I said, it should like, I think if everyone should be allowed to have guns, if everyone, like Black people should be allowed to walk around with guns too then. I mean, they have every right to defend themselves, especially with like the George Floyd riots. But I brought up to him, I said, you know what? I said, during the George Floyd protests, sorry, not riot, right. I call them the cop riots because the cops were attacking people. During the George Floyd protests and stuff, the MAGA gun nut people, the open carry people and everything, they proved that they really are not, that the reason why their guns and what they have, they don't really there to serve to stop the government. They're actually an arm of the fascist state. Trump even recognized them and said that he had all the gun nuts on his side.
Oh,
that they would come out in his support, that he basically was like his second army of people, and these people who were supposedly, against tyranny and everything, sat back when the cops were literally killing people, shooting them in the face with rubber bullets, destroying their property, doing all kinds of damage during those protests last year. And all those like so-called "don't tread on me" people were silent.
Yeah.
Or if any of them were there, they were there to cause problems, to make the left look bad, or dress up like a Boogaloo boy or something, or in support of the cops of some sort. They were not. It just shows you what kind of bullshit it is. It's like,
it is. It's a racket.
I said, I'm like, the MAGA people just proved that they were part of the fascist state. Don't give me this bullshit that it's about tyranny of government. That you're a liar.
Yeah.
Like okay, clearly that's subjective. I guess, Dr. Seuss being canceled or something is tyranny of government, which makes no sense at all whatsoever. Like, none of that connects. But that's their logic, I guess.
I think we could see Joe Biden making some moves on this. I really do. I think we could see some executive action. I think we could see stuff. And look, if it goes to the courts, it goes to the courts. But let's say swing for the fences. You're not going to get it through legislatively.
Here's the funny thing too, and the Republicans know that all the things that the Democrats want to do, the majority of the stuff the Democrats want to do, have the majority of the American people backing it. Even people who probably vote Republican, they don't realize that. They don't realize who they're voting for sometimes. They support the things they want a minimum wage. They want better health care.
Yeah.
They want a better environment. They want all these things. And there's a lot of people who don't want jackasses walking around with guns. There's a lot of people, the majority of people don't feel safe. It's not a Shangri-La to walk into a Burger King and see, and you just want to go there and get your fucking burger or whatever, and some dingus has a AR-15 on his back, and you're just like, oh God, what's happening here? And
I don't want to go to a fucking Starbucks or a Jersey Mike's and have.
I don't want to go to any of these places where it's like the whole point. I just want to go in there and get. This isn't the Wild West.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this? What fantasy are you living? Why do you need to carry this? I don't feel safer. Wait, how do I know you're the good guy with the gun?
Yeah.
I don't like. You literally walked in with a machine gun in the Chipotle. Like, are you sticking up the place? Like, how do I know you're not? Who are you?
Well, we did. I tweeted out our gun episode that we did a while back, and I looked at the cover art, and the cover art you did for that was basically that guy's just trying to order like Starbucks with an assault rifle.
He's like disheveled. He just looks like a schlubby guy who has a fucking AR-15 on his back.
Yeah,
he's not wearing like anything protective or anything. It's like, dude, you're gonna like shoot your ass.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I do think that the courts, now that you have the Ninth Circuit ruling, Biden.
And you said these people are like George W. Bush appointees.
I looked it up, and it's a mix. There are some Clinton appointees. There's like one Clinton appointee. This is depressing. There's a couple Nixon appointees on it. I had to look at that twice.
Put in when they were 50, now they're 1,000.
You gotta be fucking. This is why the judiciary is so important. You have fucking Nixon appointees still working.
Yeah, that's a long time ago, guys. That's like 50. That's like 50 years ago. That's a lot.
This guy, one of them, Alfred Goodwin, one of the senior court judges, was born in, this can't be right, 1923.
That means he is literally almost 100 years old.
Yeah, he
can't be right. No way.
Okay, Alfred Goodwin.
Do they carry him out with like a marionette?
Alfred Goodwin, born June 29th, 1923, is a senior United States Circuit judge.
Yeah, emphasis on the senior.
Fuck me. He was appointed in 1969 by Richard Nixon.
That was like only 52 years ago.
This motherfucker was appointed. Let me see if I can find the exact.
And he was in his late 40s when he got appointed.
He's been on the bench for 51 years making decisions.
Listen, I'm not like trying to be an ageist of any kind, but I just don't think that someone should be on the. I just think like we need to have maybe some fresh ideas. Maybe somebody that was appointed by like Ford or Carter. Something going that doesn't go back pre moon landing.
I don't want someone
Sharon Tate murder. Something that like.
This guy
Woodstock is
probably doing his Zoom conferences on his fucking jitterbug phone. You know what I mean? Like,
he looks like he's like that Sketsy in the Dark Crystal. Like, I'm not dead yet.
Probably looks like Mason Verger, like post Hannibal Lecter attack or something.
He's like it's like everyone's always like, listen, the guy's like 1,000 years old. Like, he says like off-color things. He's like, listen here, shut your pitch. Like back in my day.
Yeah, he's got a nurse named Boom Boom.
Like the guy's literally reliving the roaring 20s right now. Because he was born in the fucking 20s.
He was
He's like, I did a full loop.
Fuck.
I went from the roaring 20s to the roaring 20s.
After every ruling, he does the Lindsay.
Yeah.
So there's actually 2 Nixon appointees on the bench. There's Alfred Goodwin and John Wallace.
I will say this: you should not be on the. What was that guy who did like the Welch's Jam on like the Today Show, where you would like?
Oh yeah.
There's like anyone who was like 100 years
Wilford.
old.
What was his name? Not Wilford something.
He was like pre-Al Roker.
Yeah, he was. He was the guy before.
He was supposed to be like the original Ronald McDonald.
Yeah. Gosh, it was the Today Show guy. I thought it was started with a W.
Yeah, I gotta look this up now.
Yeah, all I remember is David Letterman, because you're right. He used to send out a greeting to every person who turned 100 on the Today Show, and David Letterman said that he was coming out with a book.
Willard Scott. He was
going to come out with a book. 100 apartments soon to be vacant. 100.
Yeah, Willard Scott's doing he's serving a purpose. He's telling you not just like how old they are, but also like, hey, there might be some state available soon. If Willard Scott is announcing your birthday, you probably shouldn't be. If Willard Scott is, I gotta do my what's that guy's name? You might be a redneck guy.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but the redneck guy.
If you're being told happy birthday by Willard Scott, then you probably shouldn't be in the judiciary anymore.
Jeff Foxworthy. Yeah. So you have real quick though. You have 2 Nixon appointees, 3 Carter appointees, some
4
Reagan
Eisenhower. 3 Woodrow Wilson.
You have some Reagan, Bush. It's a mix, but the lead story should be that like Nixon appointees still determine your rights.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Some progressive shit actually happened in the Nixon years. So it might not be a bad idea. That's really funny.
Well, on the plus side, I'd be stunned if Biden didn't get to fill a couple more seats in that.
Yeah, I think he might, just by the fact that I don't know. Who knows? I mean, this guy's outlived everything.
Yeah,
those people who like she had COVID twice and she's 110.
Right,
like,
smokes 8 packs a day.
Yeah, like this woman is not like stop. These people like they're vampires. Like she'll die at some point, but COVID's not going to kill her because nothing killed her. She survived everything.
Yeah.
Like she survived living. She didn't get hit by a car. She didn't fall. She's alive. COVID was like, I can't do it. I'm going to try again. Nope. I always love those stories. And I'm just like, fuck you, lady.
Well, I guess anyway, the point is that the Ninth Circuit Court, which does contain some conservative judges, a lot of conservative judges, and some judges with some pretty old-fashioned thinking.
Colorful language.
Right. They probably were like
refer to people as colors.
the attorneys were probably like, the founding fathers would never have accepted, and the other judges are like, Alfred, what did they say? What did they say?
Yeah. I should know that because they were my best friends.
My dad knew the founding fathers. They used to come over.
When Thomas Jefferson would put me on his knee.
Wearing an onion in his pocket, as was.
Sure, I can tell you George Washington's teeth weren't really wooden because I brushed them.
Well, the Ninth Circuit said there's no inherent right, no constitutional right to open carry. I could see Joe Biden coming out and saying, look, the courts are swinging in this direction, whether that's true or not. It's true of that. And as a result, putting these in place. And I would even be sneaky about it. I would say, like the federal government can't make states have a drinking age of 21. States can make the drinking age whatever they want to. The federal government just says you can't have any federal highway dollars if you don't, right? So Joe Biden should just be like, hey, you can do whatever gun laws you want. However, if you have super fucked up gun laws, then you don't get any federal money for whatever, no more.
Shut him up.
Overnight you'll have Mitch McConnell be like, well, I think it's time for reasonable gun control because
I don't know. I think you're these guys. I don't think it's that easy as you're making it sound right now.
Perhaps not, but
these guys are, like I said, they are literally in the pocket of the NRA, and whatever other groups. They are literally there for that very reason.
They're running out of steam, though. The NRA almost went bankrupt. There's a few mega donors that will.
Remember their NRA TV?
Oh, yeah. NRA steaks, NRA water, NRA airlines. You don't remember that? No, I do remember NRA TV. Yeah. Oliver North had a show. Yeah, Oliver North had a show on there. Well, anyway, so I could see Joe Biden moving with some aggressive executive action. I hope he does. I think it's a good idea. I hope
he does. I'm glad he's saying it first in a tweet.
90% of the people in America support at least modest gun control, like background checks. The vast majority.
Most people don't want AR-15s out there. Now, the thing is, they say there's so many of them, there's more of them out there than there are people, right? Well, how about this? Stop making them.
Right.
Now, will it get rid of them? No, but you won't be making new ones. And, I tweeted this the other day, yesterday, and I said, this is crazy thinking. Hold on. How do you prevent a nuclear war?
I saw that.
Maybe don't have nuclear missiles.
Well,
that probably helps, right? I mean, I know it sounds a little simplified, but I mean,
you could be creative about it, and you could say, look, no one has to give up. And I'm not saying I like this, but you could say, look, no one has to give up any weapons they currently own. Okay, you can't. No one has to give up any weapons.
Yeah, but if you have 1,000 weapons, I don't know. You should be checked out.
Let's just say you can keep them. Because to be perfectly honest with you, if you're a lunatic and you have one AK-47 versus 700, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it really doesn't.
You only have two hands.
Yeah, you're not going to bring all 700 to the theater.
I don't know. There was a X-Men comic book I read years ago where Cable was covered in guns, and it was possibly the funniest thing ever.
Well, you can keep.
That's not real.
You can keep all the guns you want. You just can't transfer them to anyone.
Well, yeah, there you go. You can't gift them to people.
Yep.
You can't. I mean, the thing is that, people who are listening, how dare you talk about my guns? And it's you are the victim of marketing.
Yeah.
The NRA is not this religious group. They're not this thing that protecting the American values. They are literally a lobbyist firm for companies to make billions of dollars. They want to be unregulated so they can sell as much crap to you. Yeah. I'm sorry, but if I was in the food industry and everything, and if the food industry did what the gun industry did, we'd all be dead right now. We'd have shrimp in all our food. Fried shrimp tails would be in everything. We'll get to that later.
I don't necessarily have a problem. I have a problem with guns. I don't want to say I don't, But like you were saying earlier, if some guy's like, yeah, I like my AK-47 or my AR-15 or whatever, if I had to give it up, it wouldn't be the end of the world. That seems like a reasonable guy. If you could say like, hey, he passed a background check, a mental health background check. He's never been accused of domestic violence. He registered his gun.
That's the big one. The NRA was trying to stop.
Yeah.
That was the most fucked up thing. Domestic violence. And the NRA is trying to make sure that people who were arrested for domestic violence could still get weapons.
Yeah.
That's a little fucked up. Like, that's crazy. You're not dealing with reasonable people here.
No. But if you
have
do
to
all
come
that,
in, it's like you said, you've got to come in and just say, we're taking all your fucking guns.
Yeah. And
Because
then you work your way down to that, where like, okay, you're not mentally ill, you're not addicted to anything, you don't have any violent crimes in your past or domestic violence stuff, and you're willing to go through the background check and register your weapon. I guess I don't have a huge problem with it. You know, I mean, like,
again, it's like, it's when, what was it like during the terrorist craze of like the early 2000s after 9/11, you would find out still that like basically there was no laws to stop like a foreign terrorist from coming in and buying guns.
Yeah.
Because the NRA made sure of that. And I was like, what? You would think that's a little weird. That's a little weird. Like, why would you not want to make sure like the so-called terrorists that you're scared of don't get the weapons that they would use to so-called do the terrorist attack?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, it's like you're dealing with like children that'll just keep taking from you.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's the thing, is that like, I don't know. It is like dealing with children in a way, but like children are at least reasonable. Like I could always get
some kids are.
I could always get my kid to try at least something on the plate, but like,
well, like the other thing the government can do though is do incentives to, if you want to do like a government buyback. I think that's what Australia did. They didn't just
those work.
Weapons. I think they did buybacks, and I'm sure there's people who are like, oh, I get $100 for this or whatever, or tax cut or whatever it is, like some incentive.
Yeah.
And some people will get rid of them. I mean, that's
those
look at
work.
it. Like, did you see what Krispy Kreme's doing with the vaccine?
Oh yeah, you get a free donut.
They're telling people you can get, what are they saying, a donut or donut for the rest of the year?
Oh, I don't know. I guess I didn't realize. I don't think there's a Krispy Kreme near us, so I didn't look at it too.
Well, I don't care. I don't really care for their donuts, but I saw that.
They're middle of the road,
They're like okay. They're like too sweet. They are just like, I don't feel good after eating them. I mean, I can't say I've ever eaten a donut and been like, Papa, and like,
right.
It's the spinach. It's more like, okay, I'm good. You ever like eat 2 donuts now and you like eating one? Hey, this is really good.
Yeah.
And then you eat that second one, you're like, oh, this was not a good idea.
No. And they look like a Dunkin' donut. Like they're kind of nice, and like a lot of the local donut shops around here, they're really good.
So much better. I don't even go to we have all these like local ones by us that
they're all so good.
They're so much better than Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kreme.
A Krispy Kreme, and I've never tried this, but I'll bet you could light it on fire. Like seriously.
Yeah, I bet if you had a match like an inch away from it, it would.
Yeah, it would like burst into flames because it's essentially like an oil soap.
They put a thing out and said if you get vaccinated, you basically get a free donut. And I mean, it's fun. Sure. I mean, if anybody even honors it, but it's like a fun little incentive. It's like, hey guys, and of course there were these like morons who had to be like, oh, you're causing diabetes. Like, oh god, can you just let people have a good time once? Once, it's fun. It's fun. It's a joke. It's like, it's not really hurting everyone. Krispy Kreme still exists regardless.
Right.
Someone else is going to get diabetes from it regardless. If somebody goes and get vaccinated, they're not going to get the diabetes from the one donut they ate.
And diabetes isn't contagious. So
right. Coronavirus is.
There's that. There's like
diabetes is contagious in that like you shared a huge bowl of Skittles. Like,
right, yeah.
Everyone eats them every day, nonstop.
Well, I am heartened on this. I mean, it's just such a depressing thing. Like I saw a guy, a survivor of the Parkland shooting, talk on, I forget the show last night, but he was talking about it. Guy looked like fucking wrecked. He looked like a smart kid.
Is it the father of them
No, this is a kid. This is a
Oh, okay.
looked like he was 21, 22, and he wasn't one of the famous ones. Like there's a girl,
Not Hogg or
not David Hogg, and there's a girl who does a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
a woman, and I would recognize their names if I saw them. This is a kid I had never seen before, and he said he was pretty cynical. He was like, he went to that thing where Trump heard from the victims of gun violence. He was one of the kids there, and he was like, Trump used this as a photo op. I was stupid to go, blah blah. And then he's like, the interview is like, do you think Biden's going to do anything? He's like, he might. It's just, he said, it's just such a big problem. It's like a big deal. And he was saying how he doesn't want to raise his kids here. Like in America. He's like, I agree, America's awesome, and I want to live here, but like, he went through that kind of shit, and he doesn't want to.
Yeah, like you're scarred for life.
Yeah. So
did you?
Go ahead.
Shit, I forgot what was it. Oh yeah, like the one thing the right wing always does every time there's an incident, they just flex and bring up Chicago, and they'll say, "Well, Chicago has all these gun regulations," and it's like, well, yeah, but Chicago doesn't exist in an island in itself. Literally, all you have to do is travel like from a state away and go into Chicago. It's not like it's an airport, Chicago, where you literally drive into Chicago.
Right.
And any out-of-state person can bring a weapon in. Chicago is not the, yes.
No.
Chicago is doing its best to try to put gun regulations in, but the neighboring states.
You just drive to Indiana.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like fireworks.
It is crazy.
Were illegal in Long Island, but everyone in my block had them because they all went to south of the border.
The follow-up guy to the kid from Parkland said basically, and he was sympathetic about it, but he's like, look, we have these anti-gun control rallies, and we had planned a big one at the Capitol on the anniversary of Parkland or whatever, and we got like a couple thousand people, And he's like, I know people got stuff to do and people can't just drop everything and go protest. He's like, but if we had 10,000 people at every state house, something would get done. Like a lot of states opened up because of like those open up protests.
Yeah.
Because they get a bunch of rowdy people to get in people's faces. And
but here's the difference. Because we learned this with the George Floyd protest.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
In some states, the state, especially in the redder ones, will attack those people. The people who were put in there that were doing the opening up were not attacked by the cops afterwards. They were the owners. They were Republican politicians.
Yeah.
They did not represent regular people, a lot of them. There were some people there who probably didn't know better or whatever. But most of the people that's in it, I know what you're saying, and yes, there'll be a lot of protests and a lot of peaceful ones, but it doesn't. Anything that seems to be to improve. Well, again, we're also not in a Trump administration anymore.
Well, and I'm just because the DOJ would say to people, the DOJ could say to states like, don't attack those protesters. Like that's a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, having Trump was the president, that was a big difference. Trump was tweeting like, when the looting starts, the shooting starts or some shit. Like, I mean, like Biden's not going to tweet stuff like that.
Right. Well, I don't necessarily agree or disagree with the guy. I was just kind of saying what he said about the protests. But I do know that if you, and I don't even know if I feel this way, but like if you think gun violence is the preeminent issue of our time, you know what I mean? Like if you think, that's kind of weird because we just had the coronavirus. But if you think to yourself, gun violence is the number one public health safety issue.
It was before coronavirus.
Yeah.
And now it's starting up again because things are opening up again.
But if you think that, then it should be civil rights era level protests. You know what I mean? Like it should be thousands of people on a bridge. It should be people going into... Like if Walmart sells guns, it should be like, you know what? We're going to get 3,000 of our... Walmart doesn't sell guns anymore, which is...
Yeah, they do.
They do. Oh, they do, yeah.
Yeah, they do. Dick's doesn't sell...
Is it Dick's?
Dick's, I don't know if they stopped selling guns altogether, but they stopped selling like any type of assault weapon. They sell like hunting rifles.
Let's use Walmart then. Let's say Walmart's selling guns and and people in the city say, you know what we're going to do on the weekend? 3,000 of us are going to go to Walmart and we're going to clog up the store and we're all going to buy a pack of gum and we're going to wait in the lines and we're going to be slow and we're going to stop them from selling anything by purchasing 10,000 single packs of Hubba Bubba or something.
Ooh,
you know,
Bubba be like, thanks for choosing us. Thank you for reading it. But we don't know what you guys are doing or what you're there for, but
let's just say that, like, everyone,
yeah,
and then
shortage.
you do that week after week, perfectly legal. You're going to the store to buy a pack of gum, and eventually they'll fucking stop selling guns.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I just think that, like, yeah, adding pressure. I don't think just going to one store is going to do that. I mean, I think there's it starts at the top. It's good that we have a president that, even when he was running, even in the primaries, he said that he wanted to go after guns. And, you know, Trump was like out of control, fully in the pocket of the NRA. Trump, fully in the pocket.
Yeah.
Like, there were horrible shootings during the Obama years, but nothing. There were absolutely, like, insane ones under the Trump years.
Yeah.
Didn't that Vegas one happen under Trump?
Yep. Yeah, I'm almost positive.
See, like, COVID, like, took over a year and last year, and, like, there wasn't really any shootings, thankfully, because people weren't going to schools, they weren't going to movie theater, you know, places that are like a lot of people congregate in where a guy could shoot a place. And you know, I mean, it's like a mixed blessing in some ways, you know. But I swear those first, like, 2017, 18, 19 were just filled with constant gun violence.
Yeah.
Constant, never ending gun violence.
The Vegas shooting was 2017.
Okay, so that's Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and then there was like the one in Florida, like the nightclub, the gay nightclub.
Pulse. Yep.
There was Parkland.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many of them, and it gets worse. And every time it's like, you know, when Columbine happened, it was crazy because it was like, what, 20 something people were killed.
Yeah.
And at the time, that was like insane.
Well,
and then you get to the point where it's like some guy in Vegas and he shoots up like 80, kills 80 people. And it's like, you know, you're just completely desensitized to the whole thing, you know?
The kid on the show last night, the Parkland survivor, also said, and he brought, this is a good point. He's like, look, if they didn't do anything after Sandy Hook, they're not going to do anything. You know, like, and that's why they attacked Sandy Hook so much. That's why you see Alex.
Oh my God, the Sandy Hook thing is so gross with, like,
well, that's
InfoWars and all the right wingers.
That's, like, why they attacked that
line.
one, because they know that's like an incredibly compelling case.
Right, because it was a bunch of small children.
It's like 5 and 6 year olds.
You say you're pro-life. These are little babies. They're babies still. Yeah. 5 years old, they're babies. They can't, like, most of them can't tie their own shoes at that age.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
They're not feeding themselves at that age. Like, they're babies. And, like, yeah, so the right wing was like, what do we do? I don't know. We'll just line say it. We'll just get, like, our jackasses, like, you know, what's his name? Axel Rose. What's his name? Jones.
Alex Jones. Yeah,
Alex Jones. And then he'll be the crazier one, but then we'll get other people out there, and then we'll get, like, other, like, higher right wingers who will, like, dance around it, you know, downplay it. And the right's pushing around me. Dude, they got the memo literally within the day. I remember there was a guy I worked with, that gun nut at Chico, and he was basically saying that it was a crisis act. And I was fucking idiot. I told him.
So you can't. These are people unmoored from reality, and they're ghouls, and they're willing to. It's like a monster movie where the villagers let a monster kill their children once a year to get a good harvest or something, you know, like it's just so ghoulish. This is so predictable. It happens all the time. It's going to happen again probably in a week.
Every time they push to say it's a crisis actor, but it's like, well, you've been saying that for the past decade.
Yeah.
And we don't see any regulations. Oh, they'll get it one day. I mean, well, yeah, at some point there's going to be, because people were so frustrated and want to live a good life that they don't have to put up with this. All right, so let's talk about two scumbags.
Oh yeah, Ted Cruz.
Let's get the first one out of the way because I don't have much to say about it. I just think, like, what he said was really stupid. John Kennedy
Yes.
is not to be confused with former presidents
No.
or any of the Kennedys.
This one's a senator from Louisiana.
He sounds, and we talked about it before, and I say it every time, he sounds like the con man from Green Acres.
Yeah.
He's like, well, where's my here? God darn, well, Tippin'. Like, it's like, dude, cut the act. When no one's around, he's probably like, poop house, the grave, poop hog.
It's 100% an act. This guy.
Oh, he's such a lying piece of shit. Like,
yeah, it's really, really remarkable. The guy, he went to, I'm seeing where he went to school.
It's like a bad character actor.
Yeah, it's something.
He acts like he always tries to give like everything homespun, everything a matter of fact. You know, like he tries to not come off like a Ted Cruz or anything. Like he's a little more friendlier and everything. But the guy's a straight up piece of shit.
He got a bunch of degrees in the United States, and then he did his postgraduate work at Oxford in England.
Oh, Oxford, Oxford, Mississippi?
No, Oxford, England.
Oxford, Indiana?
No.
You mean like the prep school in England?
No, he went to University of Virginia, and then he went to Oxford. Magdalen College in England, where he studied under Sir Rupert Cross.
Well, gosh darn, look at me. I'm in England, and I sound like I'm on the blue.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'd like to get videotape of him at Oxford, where he's like in front of his peers.
Dressed up like Lord Fauntleroy.
He's probably wearing, I'm sure he's wearing overalls with one of these overall things undone.
Yeah, and a little
chewing on a hayseed.
Yep.
A straw hat and saying things like, back when I was knee high to a crawdad. I'm sure it's exactly what he was like.
He's Huck Finn.
Yes.
Yeah. No, this guy is like I said, he's like a bad character actor. The whole thing, everything. He always acts like he's super concerned and everything. And like, well, listen here.
Yeah.
He said, like, we don't have a gun control problem. We have an idiot problem. And it's like, well, I wish, and it was on Fox. I'm sure I'm positive the Fox host or whatever did not come back with him and say, well, wouldn't you want to make it harder for idiots to get guns?
Yeah.
Because that's I think that's the problem here, right? I mean, like, I agree. We have an idiot problem, and I think those idiots should not be allowed to get guns.
Right.
I don't know how you determine who's an idiot.
Well, you just walk over to the other
Did you vote
side
for
of the
John
chamber.
Kennedy?
You ask Lauren Boebert if she has a few minutes to come on over to the Senate side and demonstrate something.
Get that kid from Gas No Breaks to just interview them, where he just sits there and lets them talk.
Yeah.
And play that, and now determine if they should get a gun or not. Like that guy, I don't know if you ever watched that guy.
I've seen clips, yeah.
Okay, he's like, I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. I don't think he's doing it anymore because it was like a weird issue with whoever runs the show.
Okay.
But he has this he's really good at like just going up to people. He looks very unassuming, kind of, he just looks like a weird young Will Ferrell or something. And he'll just put the mic in front and let them talk. And they eventually just reveal how psychotic they are most of the time. And I think that guy could be like, if you could pass that guy's, like, not, you don't know you passed the test.
Right.
Like, we watch the videos later.
But he has a stack of guns. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you're not allowed to have a gun. Like, that guy should be used as like a measuring tool. It's like it's like such a dumb thing to say. Because again, he's trying to divert the conversation away from the fact that we need gun control. It's like, it's so like, well, gosh darn it, we have an idiot problem. And it's like,
that's a different version of the video game problem.
It's a different version of the mental health problem. That's all. It's like, we have a mental health problem. Well, I think we should probably make it harder for people who have mental problems from getting guns.
Right.
That Trump, literally, one of his first acts as president, he made it easier for mentally ill people to get guns. And guess what? A lot of mentally ill people got guns. The thing in Colorado, where that judge basically said it, a couple of days later, what happens? That literally, because it got lifted. Yeah. That would not have happened if that ruling didn't get lifted by that judge.
It's real predictable.
Is responsible for 10 dead people right now.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. Well,
other one was okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the other one was Ted Kennedy. I mean, Ted
Cruz.
Kennedy. Yeah, Ted Cruz. Jeez.
Okay, not what's this thing he's famous for? The what's it called? The supposed woman that died.
Oh, Mary Jo Kopechne.
No, but what was the name? Like
Chappaquiddick.
Yeah, Chappaquiddick.
Yeah. No, Ted Cruz.
Ugh. What's up with his fucking hair? Is he trying to do a Trump hairstyle?
I think he's trying to look like
Bob's Big Boy.
I think he's trying to go for kind of a hipster look. He got a lot of positive feedback when he started growing out his beard.
Who? Where? From where?
I saw it on Twitter. A lot of people were like, "Oh, okay, this is a good look for Ted Cruz," because before he looked almost like a puckered anus, like his face.
He has no actual defining feature.
Right.
He looks like a puckered anus.
Do you remember Odo, the changeling on Star Trek Deep Space Nine?
Yeah, I remember.
Ted Cruz looked like a changeling, like an Odo's gross uncle.
How dare you insult Odo like that?
Well,
good. Did you remember my drawing I did of him as a fat, an overweight Wolverine cosplayer?
Oh,
the hot dog.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Claws.
Yeah.
That's what he does look like, a bizarre, like he's a little bit of a dork. Like he makes references to like Simpsons all the time, and like other pop culture stuff. You know, he's hip, he's cool. You know, he's Ted Cruz. That's when you think of what's edgy and cool,
right?
It's clearly Ted Cruz. What his hair is so weird, and I'm like, is he trying to emulate Trump? I mean, I know he wants to run for president.
Maybe
try as hard to get the Trump, whatever they are, the MAGA vote. But his hair is really bizarre.
It's out of control. I think he's
want to get that out of the way. That's not
going for the hipster look. But yeah, Ted Cruz was
what?
Like the gross hipster look, like the Asian.
I don't know. I guess.
Well, okay. So he said that the Democrats engage in this political theater every time there's a school shooting. In
general.
Yeah, he said that every time there's a shooting, the Democrats call one of these things. I saw Al Franken the other day say, well, he was in the Senate in 2017, and he doesn't remember there being 380 hearings that year on gun violence, because that's how many mass shootings there were that year, which is a good point. If we were having these hearings every time there's a mass shooting.
They don't want to talk about gun shootings. Oh, wait, hold on. There's another shooting.
Yeah.
Before you finish that sentence of, now's not the time to talk about guns. Well, guess what? There was another shooting.
Right.
Maybe we should talk. Oh, wait. Well, I don't think now's the time to talk. Oh, there's another. What about now? No. Now, we just got another one. There's 3 of them happening in 3 different states at once. Well, listen.
Yeah.
It's like Ted Cruz is a piece of shit. He doesn't. The guy left Texas when the state was freezing.
Yeah.
Because he don't give a fuck. And before some asshole goes, oh, well, politicians don't give a fuck. That's a lie. There are some politicians who actually really care. And
Beto was putting in the hours.
Beto was putting in the hours. Well, that's because he wants the job. Oh, gee, maybe we should give him the job.
Yeah. All right.
Gee, I think you're making a solid point.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, that seems like like you just answered the question and you're insult at Beto.
If I could employ a Ted Cruz reference, that seems like a perfectly cromulent idea. It seems like a perfect...
He is literally a sack of shit.
Yeah.
He's the worst. I mean, he was like some podcast recently, and he tries to do this shit where he's like, the Democrats are the party of cheese and wine.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you were literally going to a country club when you were going to Mexico. Yeah. The guy who was the president of the United States for the past 4 years owns country clubs and went there all the time.
Yeah.
Fuck off, Ted. The Democrats need to do everything they can right now at the power the power of the presidency, the power of the Congress and the Senate, and ram through all the fucking regulations.
All of them.
If some psychopath, if a bunch of lunatics show up with guns, I don't think it's going to be that friendly for them.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think that, we saw all that nonsense happen because Trump was president. We saw the nonsense happen. We saw the nonsense happen at the Capitol because Trump was president. There was no National Guard there in place because Trump ordered them not to be there.
Right. Yeah.
That is why. And all these bullshit protests, open ups, those were all backed by the Trump administration because he was literally tweeting those every day. Those happening. Liberate Michigan, liberate this state, liberate this, and then you would see these militia nut jobs show up. So yeah, they have to take advantage of the power that they have, and you know, I mean, I don't know if does Ted Cruz really give a shit if there are gun laws? Does he really care? I mean, I know he cares because
I think he cares because his political position depends on it. You know, if he caves on this, he's not going to. He'll get primaried from the right.
I mean, like he's not gonna. I'm not expecting him to go on the right side of history here.
No.
I'm just saying that if he loses, meaning like he votes against it, but he loses because he doesn't have the majority. In the end of the day, do you think he really even gives a fuck?
Yeah,
I don't
probably
think he
not.
does. He'll just run. I mean, he'll use it to run on something else. You know, look, they're trying to take away your rights. Yeah. They're treading. You can't have the First Amendment without the Second.
Okay, that doesn't make
sense. You ever hear
sense.
them say that?
Yeah.
Well, technically, you don't need the Second.
Right.
Because they wrote the first one first. I mean, I guess you can make the argument, say, well, they wrote the second after because they realized after the first. No, they don't.
That's not how that works.
No, they really wrote it first.
Well, yeah.
And also, the Second Amendment doesn't say what they think it says.
It really doesn't.
No, and like I said, well regulated.
Yeah, it's right in the words. Yeah.
Treat the gun manufacturers the way you treat every other fucking company.
How about you just start?
What?
How about as a general rule, you figure if you're trying to make voting harder than owning a gun, you're on the wrong track.
Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't be harder to vote than it is to get a gun.
Yeah.
And then some jackets will go, well, you know, the gun is more powerful than. Oh yeah, that was it. That guy from the Daily Wire. Oh God, not Ben Shapiro. It's that other guy. Matt Walsh.
Okay.
Like total lame ass guy.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you would never get out of Ben Shapiro's little shadow.
Right.
Always gonna be like if Ben Shapiro is like Bobby Heenan, you're like a low level jobber in the WWF. Like you will never amount to shit. But he tweeted this like stupid thing about how having a right to own a gun is more important than voting. Or like that that more than having the right to vote, not even like voting in general, but the right to vote. And it's like, well, one, what are you implying? That people can just shoot their way into policy? I mean, like, that's a little suspect what you're saying. And two, it's really stupid.
It is.
It's like, okay, you're not a serious person. Yeah, we have a gun problem, and it's gonna just get worse before it gets better.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
You know, well, I will say this, or we can move on to the next thing, but like 2004, the assault rifle ban sunset.
Yeah.
George W. Bush said that he would make, when he was running for president in 2000, they asked him, are you going to let that law sunset? And he said, no, he won't. He will keep it going. I guess he forgot to show up to work that day. He was busy painting his feet or something that day. And that law sunset. And long we know that ever since 2004, if you probably look up statistics, you would see that the rise of gun violence is probably, or not even gun violence. Like there's like different statistic for things. Like people will say, well, in general, like crime has gone down.
Right.
But mass shootings where people are killing like 50 people at once, that seems like a strange phenomenon that's only gotten worse over the past 15 years.
Right.
And I bet you could link it back to the sunset of the assault rifles ban and then just gradually going up.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know. I can't put two and two together. I can't figure it out.
Well, speaking of terrible people, this is a good transition. We got 2 items left, and one of them is focused particularly on an awful person, and that's Meghan McCain.
Well, I will say this: if you had to choose between Meghan McCain and Ted Cruz, who would you pick?
Meghan McCain.
Yes, I would.
Not even thinking about it. I would.
I don't mean that in a sexual way. I just want to make that clear.
No, I'm
I'm
saying
talking
like
about just as a human being.
if someone said like, "Hey, you've got to share a cab or an
Oh no,
Uber,"
that mullet that Ted Cruz is growing.
and your choices of ride share include Ted Cruz or Meghan McCain, I would 100% choose Meghan McCain.
I mean, Ted Cruz though, business in the front, party
That's
in the
true.
back. I mean,
Yeah, I guess I'd have to think about where we're going and what kind of mood I'm in. But
I'm
anyway,
kidding. It's a joke. Meghan McCain is not the worst person in the world, but she definitely has some of the worst takes in the world.
She's just grating. She says things that kind of get under people's skin because she's so unself-aware.
Now, do you think that maybe it's possible that she is playing the part, just like how John Kennedy plays the role of a toothless hayseed?
No.
Meghan McCain might be playing a fake Ma Clampett type. When she claims that her and her husband sit on the porch, drink whiskey, and
right.
This.
I don't think so. I think that someone like John Kennedy is clearly a very bright guy. I mean, like he's very smart. I don't think Meghan McCain is necessarily smart or talented.
Wait, are you saying that John Kennedy? Well, I don't even want to bring him up. I don't know much about, but are you saying that Meghan McCain maybe didn't earn her way, and that she might be running off of her dad?
That's the thing. That's the thing. Is that
she does a good job of always reminding you of her dad.
She has no, I don't know. It's just weird. Like I saw the big debate was like Meghan McCain came out on The View today and said like, why should someone get into The View just because they're Asian?
Can I play the clip?
Yeah, I think if we just play
excluded women farmers. And so we're going to a place where even if people need money, even if people are qualified to get into Ivy Leagues, race and gender is more important than your skill qualifications, the content of your character. It is not what Martin Luther King Jr. preached. I think this is a very, very slippery slope. I was very surprised to hear someone like Tammy Duckworth say something like this. She got a lot of blowback from a lot of people, not just on the right. And I think this is actually just the natural progression of identity politics. And I will say, just to put a cap on this, The View is 25 years old next year. We've only had one Asian American co-host this show. So does that mean that one of us should be leaving at some point because there's not enough representation? We're talking about politics more important than qualifications of a job. And I think that's a question going forward that the progressive left is going to have to reconcile.
It's just
okay.
So why is Meghan McCain qualified to be on The View?
That's the thing. That's what's so grating about her is because the premise, I guess you can kind of like get behind to an extent. I don't get behind it, but like I see the logic there. Like all these other people work so hard, blah, blah, blah. But like she wasn't one of those people. She's kind of assuming that she is one of those people that worked real hard to earn her position, and she did nothing to earn her position. And The View has a tendency to reward people who are just like the daughters of like politicians. They had that woman on who was I forgot. I think he was a Republican, either senator or something from Utah, who ended up working for the Obama administration. Oh yeah, she was on for years. They had like Debbie Matenopoulos when she was like a 21-year-old kid. They just grabbed her off the street and said, "You're pretty, talk." I mean, it was like a real bizarre. I don't know. They've always had like an odd. No, but was she connected in some way to anybody? Debbie Matenopoulos, I'm sure her family was. Oh, okay, but I'm not okay. I'm talking about like they've had this case where they use like daughters of politicians. Yeah, okay. Was one of them. I forgot the guy's name, but he worked for the Obama administration. Was it Huntsman or Hunt? Yes, Abby Hudson. Yeah. So I said when the guy posted that, I tweeted, Meghan McCain is a my dad American. Yeah, right. That's how she recognizes herself. And like I said, the funny thing is like, here's this person who's makes this conversation. I will give her this. She's constantly reminding you who her dad is, because I think she must not have enough confidence in herself to like realize that she has no value outside of the fact that she is John McCain's daughter. I mean, I'm not trying to demean her in any way, but that is the fucking truth. She's literally on that show. She is literally in your face for the past 20 years in media because she was John McCain's daughter. And that's it. And she was able to get access. I heard about her from some guy I used to work with back in the day when I was working at Team Services back in the early 2000s.
And I don't know, he was weird. I don't know what his politics were. I think he just hated Democrats, but like, he was talking about her and like how great she was. Like, oh, she likes the white stripes and like works for like music companies. Like, she's always had an in like, it's not like a lot of things like rich people and stuff like that. They get to decide what they want to do. Some of them get into politics, some of them get into news.
Yep.
Some of them get into media. Some of them get into manufacturing. Some of them get into acting, and they have the access to do it because they know people. They loan favors, or their dad's the producer, mom is or dad is the CEO of a company that owns another company that owns another company that is part of another umbrella, and people won't put two and two together and realize, oh yeah, that person got that job because of that. But Meghan McCain makes it so fucking obvious that like she doesn't shut the fuck up about it. It's like, my dad said.
It's just a weird gripe coming from her that you should be qualified and work for your position.
She clearly, like, she has to, like, the only way she can validate any position and anything she has after time is she has to bring up her dad.
Yeah.
Like, she just has like these really shitty takes. I really do believe that she's not a real I don't believe she's as conservative as she makes herself out to be. I think she's playing a part on The View.
I can see that.
I don't believe she believes half the shit she says. She's kind of on there to be owned. I mean, the View has had like over the years where, what was that one woman's name? She ended up working at Fox. I think she started out Survivor.
It was Elizabeth Hasselbeck.
Yeah. Oh God, she was horrible.
She was the worst.
I think she probably, Meghan McCain probably like looks like an angel in comparison.
Yeah, Elizabeth Hasselbeck. You're right. She was a Survivor player, and then she married a quarterback for the NFL. And somewhere along the way, she became a radical right-wing Republican.
Well, I think she always was.
Well, yeah, but she became a famous radical right-wing Republican.
There you go. But I think she's on Fox now, or was on Fox.
I have no idea. I haven't heard of her in like forever.
But hold on, I want to see if I can find something else. There was something else funny. Oh, I think that spoiled brat that was handed everything in their life is right about earning your own way.
Yeah, right.
They're saying, you can't argue with that. I mean, it is like, what is it, like, no self-reflection or something, or
they just have no they have no self-awareness. They don't.
Yeah, like when she said that, do you think she like ever thought afterwards, like, oh yeah, like maybe I shouldn't have said that?
Yeah. It's weird. I can see how that happens in the moment, but she does it so routinely. When I was in high school, I fell in a ditch once. I was like screwing around and I fell in a ditch and I got like covered in this muddy water and it was terrible. And it was very embarrassing. And then, like, no lie, like 3 months later, I was at a party and another kid fell in a ditch and I made fun of him saying, like, how could you possibly fall in a ditch? And like immediately afterwards, I was like, oh shit, I fell in a ditch like 3 months earlier. But like Meghan McCain doesn't have that moment, like where she realizes.
Were you dressed up like Queen Amidala or someone from the Capitol in the Hunger Games when you said that too? Because that's how people have made jokes about like whoever her hairdresser is, or whoever, like that they must hate her because she literally has like a weird ass spring on her head or something.
Yeah.
Like someone wrote that that's actually a zipper because it's to reveal that she's a different person under her. But like, you got to see like whatever her hairdressers or whatever, like whoever it is, like they must hate her. They make her look like a weird clown sometimes. It's almost like they're setting her up. I mean, The View is got some really. I think like Whoopi Goldberg has said horrible things on there. Like,
sure,
it's like a bad show. It's like it's there to set an agenda.
Yeah, it's successful in what it does. I don't love it. I don't get it.
I just, again, the Meghan McCain thing is just funny. That's all. It's just like, hilarious. And unfortunately, and she has to notice too. It's very easy for her to get dunked on Twitter.
Right. She's the dunking booth or the dunking.
Like she is literally a heel on that show. I think they keep her on there to basically play the part of the person with the bad take, and then we or the other lady who's been on there forever,
Joy.
Behar. listen here. She has like that, and she'll say something, and then the crowd will cheer. And
Yeah,
I mean, it's like wrestling.
it is.
So.
Well, our last. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, supposedly her husband though is a real piece of shit.
Oh, I could see that.
Like he's like, I forgot what news organization or something has. I don't think it's like Daily Caller or something like that, but it's like one of those. You can look it up real quick. Meghan McCain's husband runs some kind of media thing or something, and it's like really hard right. So maybe she is incredibly right wing. I don't know.
I mean, it's she seems like the kind of person that would trick you into thinking that she is really more liberal. She's like an Ivanka in my head, where it's like, oh yeah, they're probably a lot more liberal, but they're really not. You know,
yeah, like they put out a book. She put out a book with that comedian years ago, Michael Ian Black.
Oh yeah,
like some weird comedy book about like he gets shit for that all the time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
He has like a bad position, people just post that cover.
Ben Domerick is her husband, and he's the co-founder and publisher of the Federalist.
Yes.
Right? Really?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Oh. So. Yeah, they're trash. Well, speaking of the Federalist, they hate our next topic, our last topic, the minimum wage. And
well, speaking before we get into the minimum
wage,
this actually will lead to that. We forgot. I did want to bring up. I forgot about the what's her name? Kylie Jenner.
Oh, okay, yeah, Kylie Jenner.
This is really quick. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but like Kylie Jenner, like recently, I guess her makeup artist or something got to a really bad accident. And I think she had like $60,000 in health bills. So Kylie Jenner, what do you think she did?
Well, I know what she did. She started a GoFundMe.
Whoa, you're supposed to set me up so I could see, Joseph. What the hell, man? I was gonna come in with that. You're supposed to be like,
right. She certainly, because to Kylie Jenner, 60 grand would be like 50 cents to me or you. Certainly, she discreetly paid the tab, seeking no credit for herself.
Well, Joseph, unrehearsed in any way, I hate to break that to you. You are wrong, like always, Joseph. Despite what you might have said a minute ago, don't rewind.
Right.
Okay. No, Joseph. She decided to start a GoFundMe for her makeup artist, but her generosity was further than that. She put $5,000 of her own money into that. Yeah. Which, if a $60,000 is a soda to her, I would imagine 50 cents, $5,000 would be literally a nickel.
It's like couch cushion money.
Not even. Like, it's like money found in poo or something. Like you would find more in your couch, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, are you fucking kidding? All right, two problems with this. One, she sucks. Like, you could just pay for that.
Yeah.
Without a problem. Two, you clearly don't give her insurance of any kind.
No.
Or it's incredibly bad insurance. I doubt she has insurance. Usually, you get $60,000 bills like that, especially in an accident or something that's out of your control, because you have no insurance.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Because you should have even if you have a crappy insurance plan, your deductible should be at like 15 grand or something, and that's all you'll pay for the year.
And which is absolutely horrible. And we'll say,
yeah.
But it's so shitty on so many levels, because it's like, here's this billionaire. She is pretty much a billionaire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and another person pretty much handed everything in life. Yep. Regardless of what people, there's like idiots defending her, like she created a makeup company. Sure, she did. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Whatever you want to say.
She created a makeup company like the way Meghan McCain auditioned and got for the
right. Yeah, got on The View. You know, when they hired Meghan McCain, they were like, "Wait, are you John McCain?
Exactly.
Senator John McCain's daughter?" Well, you know, I just didn't want to do anything. You know, I try to get these jobs. You know, I work my way. I don't use my name. And I guarantee, and I promise you this, I will never reference him.
Right.
Ever. Now, Kylie Jenner, her makeup artist does a really good job of making her not look like Kylie Jenner.
Yeah.
Kylie Jenner's makeup artist deserves way more money.
A lot
more money. If you saw what Kylie Jenner looks like, and that's not, I'm not going to look. I'm not saying that she's unattractive or anything like that. I'm saying that Kylie Jenner is completely transformed into an entirely different human being.
It's bizarre, yeah.
Like different ethnicity, everything. Because she's Kim Kardashian's younger sister, but she's like, I'm not going to get into it. There's nothing exotic about Kylie Jenner. So
right.
That's what I describe it. Yeah, it's just shitty. And it's like such clout build. It's like, she's like, well, I'm going to use my social media clout. I'm going to go on there and I'm going to get this girl like all this money because all the morons that follow me will clearly donate. Though some of them probably donated more than she did. That's like the joke.
Probably.
Thinking that maybe maybe that she might shout them out, you know, maybe hopefully. Yeah, it's fucked up. All right, let's go into so leading into that minimum wage. Not to say that the Jenner thing, but it's kind of connected. I mean,
it's certainly connected.
All these things, they're all connected. So the other day I noticed something, you know, I was getting something for my son. I was getting him the Happy Meal.
Yes.
And you know, when I was younger, me and my wife would say like, "Oh, you know, we're never gonna feed our kids fast food, whatever.
Right.
It's gonna be all organic. It's gonna be." And no, that didn't happen because, yeah, it just didn't. That just make me. It's just, and I guarantee you, a lot of these people are like that. Realize it.
Yeah.
Just like I never do that. I take my
no, it's I felt the same way. I was like, you know, we try our best to give our kid good stuff and keep her away from fast food and everything. But yeah, I mean, whatever.
So I noticed over the year that the Happy Meal that I would get my son went from like $4.06 or $4.13 with that tax to the last time I got to $5.06.
Yeah. And
I was like, that's strange. Did minimum wage go up?
No.
Did they raise the minimum wage to 15? Because I was told that if you want to, you're going to be paying a ton of money for things if minimum wage goes up. And I found out minimum wage didn't go up, and it has nothing to do with it. That's a smoke screen.
Yeah, they'll keep raising the prices of things, and it's a racket. Yeah, I mean, you got to raise the minimum wage. You showed me an interesting statistic or an interesting like infographic that tracked the price of comic books relative to the minimum wage.
Yeah,
and
so somebody posted this thing. All right, so I posted this thing in some comic group on Facebook and once in a while I'll leave a comment. And one of the things I left today is I noticed that comics in general are starting, the average price of them are starting to become like $4.99.
Right.
And that's a lot. That's a lot of money for a book that's like 20 pages and will take me 3 minutes to read.
Yeah.
Or 5 minutes to read or whatever. You know, like I don't want to pay $5 for a streaming channel. Like it'll give me hours of entertainment. Why do I want to pay? Now, yes, some comic books could have the potential to increase in value. I don't ever sell them, so I don't know why I'm like even care.
Right.
Like I like the idea, but yeah, I still have to spend $5 until I sell it. It doesn't matter. Okay, so somebody posted, some guy brought up a point, and then of course some guy was being a dick and saying to that person, and this guy brought up a thing about minimum wage and the price of comics.
Right.
Why comics have skyrocketed so much over the years versus, and I said there's a lot of factors involved. I think one, the print runs have gone down immensely. Like back in the 70s, your top selling comic probably sold like 1 million books, or like a lot, because you had newsstands, you had all these places. It wasn't just, they were just everywhere. They were more abundant. So in 1960, the minimum wage was $1. Comic price was 10 cents. So for 1 hour of work, you could buy 10 comics.
Okay.
Pretty good deal, right?
Right.
I mean, cents, I would imagine a dime still felt like a lot back then.
Sure.
You made $1 an hour, you were able to buy 10 comics back then.
Yeah.
Now people are probably listening. I just go along with this. 1965, minimum wage was $1.25.
Right.
Comics went up to 12 cents in 96. But you were able to buy 10.4 comics. And I know that's a little silly because you're not going to like.
Sure.
But the fact is you were ahead. 1970, minimum wage was $1.60 and comics were 15 cents. You could buy 10.7 comics. Again,
Consistent. Yeah.
1973, comics were at minimum wage was $1.60 still. Comic price though went up to 20 cents. So now you can only buy 8. 1974, $2 for the minimum wage. Comic price was 20 cents. Now you can buy 10. 1975, $2.10, 25 cents per comic, only buy 8. I'm not going to go through the whole thing.
Right.
But it's like the minimum wage keeps increasing. In 1977, it's $2.30, and comics only 30 cents. You can buy almost 8 of them. Then the minimum wage goes up in 78 to $2.65, 79, $2.90, 1980, $3.10, 1981, $3.35, 1983 stays $3.35, 1987 stays $3.35. I wonder why. What happened?
Yeah.
What happened there?
In this,
1980 to 87, the minimum wage. 1981 to 1987, the minimum wage stayed at $3.35.
Yeah,
Reagan.
Yeah.
And comics went up in 1980 from 40 cents to 50 cents to 60 cents to, by that point, 75 cents. But you still could buy 4.5 comics with $3.35. 1990, the minimum wage went up to $3.80 and comics were $1. So you could buy less, whatever. The minimum wage went up in 1991 to $4.25. Now you could buy 4. 1993, minimum wage was $4.25. Comics went up. Now you buy less.
Yeah.
It gets worse though because comic prices keep going up, but the minimum wage does not increase. 1991, it's still $4.25. 1993, it's still $4.25. Comics went up. 1994, it's $4.25 still. 1996, it goes up to $4.75, right?
Yeah.
And you could buy almost 3 comics for 1 hour of work.
See, that's the thing is that
it gets so much worse though. 1997, $5.15. That's the last time. And comics are $2 at that point. But in 1999, it's still $5.15. 2003, it's still $5.15. But the books are $2.50 now. Now, 2007, you finally get a minimum wage raise since 1997.
Oh.
And it's $5.85. Comics are $3, so you can only get 2. And then the minimum wage in 2008, it goes up to $6.55. Because that was part of the plan when the Democrats took the House. They were able to get this through. And they also had the Senate. In 2008, it went to $6.55. And then in 2009, it went to $7.25. But comics are $3 each, so you can only get 2. Now, it shows you though that whatever they put through in 2007, it took 3 years to get to $7.25. In 2012, which is where this thing stops, I guess, this chart.
Yeah.
Minimum wage is $7.25. That's 2012. Comics were $4. You couldn't buy even 2 at that point. Now it's 2021, and guess what the minimum wage is?
Yeah.
It's $7.25 still. And who cares about the comic part? It's just showing you, I just found it more interesting how minimum wage goes up and up constantly throughout the years, consistently with almost like matching inflation in a way.
Yeah.
Until you get to Reagan, where it starts to just slow down.
They're trying to cut the rolls.
And even with Clinton, it moves up a little bit. It goes from $4.25 to $5.15 for his entire administration. And then it's not until the Democrats take the House and Senate in 2006, be in power in 2007, that the minimum wage goes up to $5.85.
Right.
Which is insane. And then finally $7.25. But it's been almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
No, more than that. Sorry. It's been 11 years, almost 12 years since there's been a minimum wage.
That's the thing, is that the minimum wage goes up at such a glacial pace, and the purchasing power of the dollar continues to drop, and things get more expensive, and it's just, I think the same thing applies here as I did with the gun thing, where you ask for 20 an hour or 30 an hour, and you work your way down to a compromise position.
I think the best thing they need to do is they need to do something where they put it in now, where you get a raise by the end of this year, that gets you to like 10 or something, and every year it works. It's like they originally, like, even Bernie proposed it, that within a couple of years it'd be 15. But then you put a mechanism in,
right, a
that
COLA.
basically brings it up every year till like whenever. It could be like 20 cents, but it doesn't matter. It's moving up.
Yeah, you just look at a good way to do it would be to look at the consumer price index at the end of the year, figure out what things have increased in price, and you come up with some sort of number, and you just do it every year.
It's a cost of living raise. Companies do it. Some companies like literally just give everyone like a 2.5% raise. And it's just like covers your
growing expenses. So yeah, I don't have a ton more. We've talked about the minimum wage a lot. I don't have a ton more to say about it other than that graphic, the one you showed that people can find on your Twitter feed.
I don't think I tweeted it.
Oh, you didn't tweet it?
No, I just sent it to you, but I will tweet it.
Yeah, I think it's real fascinating because that's like something that's real easy to get. You know, like you used to be able to get 10 plus books for an hour's worth of work,
which is $1.
Yeah. And
now let's not pretend that like I said, there's a couple of factors. The material has gotten better over the years.
Sure.
And the print runs have gone down. But from what I heard over the years, that there's a lot of comic artists that I like that can't get work in the big companies because the companies won't hire them because they're too expensive.
Yeah.
Now a lot of that Marvel and DC and all them like farm it out, and they go to like, they basically do like where they go to other countries and they just pay people less.
Yeah.
For that book, that same art. So like those artists that you like from back in the day or something, they're not getting work because they're supposedly deemed too expensive.
Yeah. I'd hate to think that all my collection of Nagel prints were designed by a sweatshop like somewhere in Southeast Asia.
Well, Nagel died a long time ago. So are you kidding right now?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if you're sitting on some Nagel prints, you should probably sell them.
No, but I remember in college that was like a popular thing, is people would have like posters, reproductions of Nagel prints. And stuff.
The rule with Nagel though is that you're supposed to do a line of coke on top of them.
While listening to Duran Duran, the real album,
and they have to be in the background of like a video game, like Shinobi, or something like that. All right. Well, regardless, I'm just saying that like. It was really depressing looking at that. Like I didn't even care about the comic prices. It's more like like you said, you could put anything in there. Loaf of bread.
Yeah, right. Same thing.
Eggs, all those things go up. Like I go to the store and I spend a certain amount of money at like, let's say Target on groceries and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I can't even imagine what it's like if you were like on minimum wage trying to get any nourishment of any kind or good cleaning products, anything. Like the way salary is supposed to work and is everything that like, it's almost like the necessities in life, like food, all those other things like cleaning products, hygiene, and all that stuff, should never like really exceed like 20% of your daily cost is like, but that's not the case anymore.
No,
it really isn't. It's like, it's almost like you can't even afford any of it.
Yeah, we've noticed that over the years. Ever since like people made it easier to keep track of your expenses. Like when I pay for stuff on my debit card, I get a printout, like a little pie chart that says this is how much you spent on gasoline, and this is how much you spent on food, and just to see like how over time, because I've been looking at this for years, the costs have shifted. Groceries are getting more expensive. Everything's getting more expensive.
But I mean, what will happen if we raise the minimum wage?
It will get better for people.
Yes,
it's what will happen.
I know. It's like, and I love again, we talked about this. We'll wrap this up in a minute. The argument always is that like some moron will post a picture of like a self checkout or the McDonald's with the
kiosks and stuff.
Like that's already there.
They're already doing it.
Do it anyway.
Yeah.
It's like the gun law. It's like the guns.
Yep.
It's like, of course they're never going to regulate. They're not going to regulate themselves. They're not going to look in your best interest.
No, absolutely not.
That's why you don't privatize like public services and shit like that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, We're good. I think we're done.
Yeah. That was a lot. That was like a weighty discussion. It felt like there was like a lot of big topics in a good way. Aside from Meghan McCain, they were all kind of like Kylie Jenner. I don't know. I think that's that was a good intro to the minimum wage thing, because I think that really, it just shows how, and this is a cliche, it sounds even silly to say it out loud, but like the very wealthy are getting very much more wealthy, and the poor are getting much more poor. And the ghoulish ways in which poor people have to demean themselves to survive is terrible. You shouldn't have to beg online for money to have your life saved.
Right. A GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Like,
so, right. And you shouldn't have a wealthy person basically treat your healthcare as a social media post. That's ghoulish. That's fucking ghoulish. This should have been done. The woman, whatever her condition was, I forget what it was, she should have discovered a
car accident or something.
Yeah, she should have gone to the hospital, gotten it taken care of, gone home and recovered. That's what should have happened. Right. You shouldn't have wealthy people treating you like a house pet or something. That's
a social media clout machine.
That's disgusting. So, and the minimum wage is one of the tools the wealthy use to keep that status quo. So,
but it's gotten to the point where it's like so ridiculous. That's the problem. Like, we know even at $15 an hour, it's not gonna balance out the poor. Like, it's not gonna do any of that. But it might make just people's lives just a little better,
incrementally better. That's where you got to start.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all we can do sometimes.
Yeah.
Can't just keep getting worse.
Right.
It's like that. Wrap this up right now, and I forgot to say this with the gun debate. Onion has a headline that they use all the time.
Yeah, I know this.
All they have to do is change the photo. Whenever there's a gun shooting of any kind in this country, Onion puts a headline. It says nothing. What are they? Oh man, I got it.
It's like it says like.
I'm like, I set it up in the close.
No one could have seen this coming. No one could have seen this coming, says person in the only country on the planet where this regularly happens. Like something to that effect.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it right now. Sorry.
Yeah.
1 second. Let's see. It should pull it up because it's like such a.
It's an
no way to prevent this. Says only nation where this regularly happens.
Yeah, right. That's it.
I mean, and they change the photo every time. It's a college. It's outside of a massage place. It's at a supermarket. They don't have to do any of that, and it's disgusting. Like this headline I just pulled up is from 5/27/14, 2014.
God.
And it's, I think it was after like, it's the UCLA.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, all right. Well, you know what? Leaving it on a high note, of course. Leaving out, can't all be winners. Just think about this though. There's still like that 100-year-old man that's a judge that was put in place by Richard Nixon.
Richard Milhouse Nixon.
33rd? Wait, what type of president would he be?
I don't know, man.
35th president?
Yeah.
Richard Milhouse. I always love that there's
Right.
Milhouse. I wonder if Milhouse is named after that.
I think so.
I think that makes it even better. Okay. Well, on that note, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that.
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.